Hello there friends, and welcome to Abe's Musical, episode something, I don't know, but last time we spoke about the circle of fifths. You can actually buy one of those things that I put on screen here, one of those mechanical circles with a movable element, so you can move it counterclockwise or clockwise. And there's holes in the template that you move, one for each chord in the scale. And the chords are even numbered. So if you have the white keys on the piano, that's the one with no sharps, no flats. The one with sharps and flats, that's the black keys on the piano. The whites are just A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And we said in a previous lesson, you construct a chord of 3 notes. And those 3 notes, you play one, skip one, play one, skip one, play now. C, skip D, play E, skip F, play G. So I play C, E, G. That's the 3 notes of the C chord, and you can just add those 3 notes in different octaves. Still the 3 notes, just in different octaves. Oh, a bit out of tune. Don't mind, out of tune. That happens. In a C major song, the most common is just those 3. And we said on the dominant, on the 5 chord, we could add the 7 notes, so we instead of just the G, we get the G7 and back to C. Because we get such a nice resolution going from the dominant back to the tonic. Nice resolution going on there. So that's the first modification we can do. So we get very classic. There are thousands of songs, literally thousands of songs with just these chords. But you can play it in any key. There are actually 12 positions. And we have the minor keys. We didn't talk about those. We have A minor, still the same notes, right? Play one, skip one, play one, skip one, play one. We get those 3. A minor chord are those 3 notes in different octaves. As long as they only play the white keys on the piano, if we're A minor or C major, we say that we play diatonic chords or diatonic scales. But if we, on the E chord, instead of playing E minor, we could play E major and go back to A minor. Then one note is not a white note anymore. The G note in the E chord is up 1 to a G sharp instead. Here we have the G sharp instead of the minor. So this is one exception. When using E as dominant and going back to A minor, we can change E minor to E major and go back to A minor. And we can also add the 7, as we did before with G. We will change it to G7, back to C. And for now in A minor, we can play E. We can change to E7, go back to A minor. Same thing happening, but now minor. It sounds a little more melancholic, a little more sad, but in my opinion also more beautiful. And I like beautiful songs. What about you? Let me know in the comments. Just joking. You don't have to write anything in the comments. I just do this to share knowledge. If you want to look at it, look at it. I don't do this to make money. Let's do a song. Traditional song with no copyright. If I can get it correct. So it's called Vem kan segla förutan vind? Who can sail without wind? So it's very beautiful lyrics. Who can sail without wind? Who can do all these other impossible things? And the last impossible thing is how to part from a friend without shedding a tear. And then in the second verse, I can sail without wind. I can do all these other impossible things, but I cannot part from a friend without shedding a tear. Very beautiful text, very old, very traditional, typical old Swedish folk music. We can see on the chords it starts on D minor, ends on D minor, so we can suspect the key is D minor. And if you look at the circle of fifths, the key of D minor is one step counterclockwise from A minor. So just turn the template one step counterclockwise and we get to the chords of D minor instead of A minor. Now D minor is the home chord, so I can hum the melody. Very beautiful melody. And do you notice one thing? If you look at the chords on the screen, it says E minor is a dominant, A minor, A minor is the dominant to D minor. Alright, so we would have gone A minor dominant back to D minor. But what happened, instead of A minor, you play A7, back to D minor. And that's exactly the same thing we talked about before. Instead of a minor dominant, going back to the tonic, we use the major 7 dominant back to the tonic. So that's the only change. So you can think about, if you had root chord D minor here, one step clockwise is the A minor, that's the one. That's the dominant that you can turn into a major 7 instead. And if you had played in a major scale, which in this case would have been F major, then C would have been a dominant and back to F. And then in this case C could have been changed to the C7. Let's sing it with the Swedish lyrics. Vem kan segla för utan vind? Vem kan ro utan åror? Vem kan skiljas från vännen sin utan att fälla tårar? Nåväl, jag kan segla för utan vind. Jag kan ro utan åror, men ej skiljas från vännen min utan att fälla tårar. Just these 6 chords with just one change. And you remember, change the dominant minor to dominant major, and also add the 7.